Hello, I'm Elizabeth from Elizabeth's Oracle. Thank you for tuning in today. We are talking about the Sun through Aries cycle for 2019. We have a big cycle ahead. Here are the start times for each section of this video. So let's jump right in. All right, as usual, part one, we are going to look at some charts. And then in part two, we do the interpretations or go a little bit deeper. So the first chart is, of course, the first day when the sun comes into Aries in 2019, March 20th. And as usual, I'm going to probably stick with this little system. Your earth signs are in green. Your water signs are in blue. Your fire signs are in yellow. And your air signs are in this kind of gray color. As you can see, when we start this off, we got most of everything in earth and water, and that is going to continue to be a trend for pretty much, this is going to be a wet Aries cycle, and I gotta just point that out. But some things to also point out specific to this chart are earlier in the day, go ahead and look at Mars and look at Pluto, because those two kind of set up this really big solar change. This happens on the day of a full moon, so it's quite the action-packed spring equinox. Now with Aries, we always anticipate a lot of action, but this is pretty big. So Mars and Pluto earlier in the day make a perfect trine. This is good earth energy, some of the things I've been talking to you guys about. And then at 2:58 Pacific time, we have the sun moving into Aries, and just a little bit after, we have our third super full moon. And this moon is also it's a final moon in a certain sense, with that series where they were super moons at 0 degrees. It will be at 0 degrees and 9 minutes of Libra, but it's the first of two moons in Libra. So we get two full moons during this cycle in Libra. So we'll get to the last one in a few minutes here. But lots, to kind of look at as we get started. Next chart is Venus going into Pisces just a couple days later. So you guys know that usually the sun, Mercury, and Venus are hanging out pretty closely together. And that's not the case this year. We're really going to have a lot of this Pisces energy lingering. Not only do we enter this cycle under a Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and it's that long Mercury stay in Pisces, but Venus picks up the Pisces energy and carries it through all the way through the end of this cycle. It will be in Pisces until April 20th. So, and in fact, it doesn't go into Aries until the sun leaves Aries that day. So, like I said, it's a soggy, I think, and the happier, thing, it's, I like squeaky flip-flops, you leave the water and it's still squeak, squeak, squeak. So yeah, we got a lot of Pisces energy hanging out, particularly with the Mercury retrograde there. That ends a couple days later from this chart on the 28th. So that will get, a lot of you very happy. We can all do our Mercury's direct dance on March 28th. Yay! And the other good news is Mars is getting ready to leave Taurus and head into Gemini a few days after this chart. That's going to kind of bring some of that festive or livelier energy. Definitely will kind of help with the Pisces thing, kind of like counter it, so to speak. Chart number 3, this is a big one. Pluto is something to watch during this cycle, because not only did we have it trining Mars the day the sun comes into Aries, but it's going to be a big factor in this chart. This is the new Aries moon on April 5th. And don't be fooled. I know this looks very like, oh, there's just the sun and the moon there. By contrast, let's look at, I'm going to put the chart here for that first new moon of the year back in January, when we had this massive Capricorn stellium. It's like, whoa, that's a stellium. So then we come back to this chart, we're like, oh, it's just the moon and the sun. This should be pretty easy. Got it, no problem. But I need you to pay attention to the fact that these are cardinal signs, just like all those planets in Capricorn are cardinal because they are going to come into play the day before this new moon. Pluto, again, it's Pluto, is in complete opposition to the North Node in Cancer. So we look at everything in Aries, then we look 90 degrees each way, and also that first full moon and the last full moon are in Libra. So lots of cardinal energy at work here. So initiation, ignition, beginnings, all those things. Other things to point out, Uranus is gone for good, so, you don't see that in Aries anymore. Jupiter is getting ready to go retrograde. And in fact, speaking of the cardinal energy, the sun is going to square Saturn on the 10th, the day that Jupiter goes retrograde, and then it will square Pluto. This is kind of the big one on the 13th of April. So, cardinal people, or where you have cardinal, where everyone has cardinal in their chart, look at that, because it's about to get like a, this cycle is actually bigger than it looks. So it's like you see things on paper and it looks sort of one way, but no, there's more going on underneath the surface here. And I think these moons will start to pull it out. Last thing I want to point out about this, though, is for everybody who's like me and looking for like, where's the happy sunshine, fiery energy? We do have Jupiter in Sag the whole time, of course. And on the 14th, in fact, the sun will trine Jupiter. So we do get a happy sun-Jupiter trine. That should bring a lift to everybody's energy. Also that weekend, 13th, 14th, 13th, sun is squaring Pluto. On the 14th, sun is trining Jupiter. So if you're making plans, definitely the 14th, better day. All right, and let's do chart number 4 here. Yay, Mercury has made it into Aries. Oh my gosh, after almost the whole cycle in Pisces, 2 long months, and waiting all the way till very late on the 16th of April, the 17th if you're on the East Coast. Mercury finally getting out of Pisces and getting into Aries, and yay, I think we're all like gonna celebrate that one. It's just within a few hours, of course, after it leaves the shadow of its last retrograde, because remember, it got all the way up to 29 degrees of Pisces. Mercury finally at the end of this cycle makes it into Aries. We also are on this next full moon, huge moon, and what to notice, not only is this, a double whammy for the Libras, and again, I think this is going to be more action-packed than people think because of the Pluto Cancer aspect, although I don't think it will impact the first one quite as much. This one, they're closer in degree, though not exact, so we don't have a true T-square. But because Pluto's kind of rumbling around during this cycle, I do think it's something to watch. And then, of course, this is involving all 4 of our cardinal signs when we talk about these T-squares and even the simple squares and oppositions. So, second Libra moon. And the big difference now is that it's switched from 0 degrees, which is really gentle, to, wow, 29 degrees. That's packing a punch. That's a big moon. And of course, Aries and Libra, really powerful at this point, end of the cycle. And of course, the next day is when the sun goes into Taurus. So big stuff happening in these charts. Now, I want to kind of delve into what it means, or what I think it means, or just point out a little bit more that I think will be helpful to you. So let's do the interpretations. All right, so there are 2 big trends as I see it. One, as you might have picked up when we walked through the charts, is the cardinal energy and Pluto's influence, both in its benevolent, trining Mars, right before this cycle starts, just sort of setting the tone. And then as we got to that new moon, Pluto opposite the North Node, and then that last chart where we get the cardinal opposition at a very late degree of Aries. So, cardinal people, just know this could be an activator. And for the rest of us, look at your chart, see what's in a cardinal sign, particularly anything around 0 degrees anything around 15 degrees with that new moon, and then anything at the 29-degree mark. So that covers quite a lot of us. So see what's there, and then what angles it's making to the planets in your chart. Next trend that I think is really important is this continued Pisces energy. I knew it was going to be long when we had a 2-month stay of Mercury in Pisces. That's so unusual. As I was explaining last month, it's usually in a sign for just like 2 to 3 weeks and then moves on. The fact that this is such a prolonged stay. Anybody else having really crazy, weird dreams? It's fun stuff. Actually, there's going to be 2 more meetings of Mercury and Neptune during this cycle. So right before the sun went into Pisces, Mercury and Neptune met up, and we have 2 more of those during this cycle. So on the 24th of March, and then again at the beginning of April. And so I'm kind of enjoying that, but it can bring a lot of confusion because we're dealing with Neptune. Also, it's an outer planet, so it is, Neptune is. So we are dealing with things that may be shaping our lives, are making an impact, but because it's Neptune and Pisces, we may not be able to really perceive it just yet. We may not, understand. And if you've felt like you've been living with a kind of kaleidoscopic, sense of reality for the last couple months, where one day you think you're doing this and the next day, well, it's really not clear. Or if you are indeed, trying to move forward with plans, but you got to wait for certain things to be in place or to be finished, or somebody else to complete something for you. I know that's a normal Mercury retrograde delay kind of thing, but in Pisces, this is asking us to take stock, to just jot down these ideas and these inspirations that are coming in, spiritual practices. But I would pay attention to the dream time a little bit longer, because with Venus coming in on the 26th of March and staying till the end of this cycle, we're really going to continue to have that, and Mercury staying so late into an Aries cycle. It's just going to be an influence that's there, and so I just have to. It's not our usual Aries like wow, pow, and all of that. Now, speaking of that, I probably should have done this first. Talk about my Pisces confusion. So let me give you the usual Aries spiel here, because we love our Aries clients, and we definitely want to give everybody an Aries their due. So here's some postcards about Aries, just Aries. Aries, of course, is our cardinal fire sign. Its ruling planet is Mars, and Mars will move into Gemini this cycle, and that will really give a lift, because remember, our fire and air signs are outgoing and masculine, whereas all that water and earth are feminine and inward. And so we do have this little back and forth that'll be happening. But I do think the Mars move at the end of March will add, some vitality to that. Other things to point out, here's a list of exactly when the planets are moving. And of course, this is our retrograde part, and so Mercury going direct on the 28th, Jupiter going retrograde on the 10th of April. So I hope you are enjoying it. Let me get to the resources section, and we'll wrap up. All right, I'm Elizabeth from Elizabeth's Oracle. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for those of you who let me know there was a volume issue last month. That's no problem. And of course, we were going into a Mercury retrograde, so I had to have a glitch, and I'm really happy that I figured it out, because I went on vacation, and it would have been a real nightmare to be on vacation and not be able to fix that. So no problem. Always let me know, and I appreciate the feedback. I am Elizabeth from Elizabeth's Oracle. I have a monthly newsletter that has specials that are exclusive to the newsletter community. And I also run a special called Free Minute Friday. So feel free to contact me via my website, Elizabeth's Oracle. All the links are always in the description box. And we can set up a reading for you. We're starting the whole new astrological year. And I know we're a couple months into 2019. Now that Uranus is in Taurus, you know, my theory has been this is when the year really starts. You know, this is when things really start to settle into how they're going to be for a lot of the rest of the year. So feel free to get in touch with me for that. And the other announcement is I will be joining my friend Christina Walsh. I keep my Kristy and Christina separate. And so Christina Walsh and I will be on her show, Surfing the Psychic Waves on Spring Equinox. Don't worry if you're seeing this video late. I'll come back and put the link in the description box after the show. And I'll include a link to the site in the description box to begin with, but I'll come back and put it in after it's actually broadcast. So don't worry, you can always listen whenever it's convenient to you, but we'll be looking further ahead and cover whatever else I got confused about during this cycle, during this video. Pisces, I'm going to blame Pisces. It's all Pisces' fault. It's that Neptune, those Neptune Mercury conjunctions, 3 of them, my brain just cannot compute. So we are continuing to move forward is the basic message, but it's probably taking a little longer for things to clarify with all the Pisces energy that's going to remain with us. But I say just relax and enjoy it and do the spiritual healing, any information that's coming to you via books, via readings, via dreams about things to release, let go of. You know, I'm a big proponent of that. So just, you know, keep on doing that, but also you will start to feel a lift and have that Aries energy, you know, come online by the end of this cycle and feel that, you know, shot of vitality and enthusiasm. So I hope you enjoy the cycle. We'll see you when the sun goes into Taurus, and I will do more on Uranus in Taurus in that video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.